Previously on Libel the Bible.
I complained about shitty indie podcasts.
The Israelites complained about eating nothing but manna for over a year.
Yahweh spread disease through infected quail.
The Israelites are finally on the move and leave Sinai behind.
I mean, it's only a matter of time before Yahweh fulfills his end of the covenant and delivers them to the land they will rule over. Right?
Aaron and Miriam hate their sister-in-law and turn on Moses.
Yahweh punishes Miriam for her betrayal, but doesn't seem bothered by Aaron's.
And now, episode 35 of Libel the Bible.
I mean, we're going. We're in it.
Hey, this is Scott.
We're in the shit right now.
I'm not sure if Rusty knows he's Rusty, but he's Rusty.
I'm Rusty.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Not as good as you, I don't think.
You don't think so? You
No.
think? Because I'm feeling good, man.
You look like you're feeling good, man.
I'm feeling good.
Yeah, you're looking good. Walking tall.
Good. Yeah. You know, it's hot as balls.
Yeah, not as good. How's it going to be the next time we record? But we'll be in air conditioning for that one.
It's we're recording this on primary day in New York. Bunch of primaries going on. Did you vote at all? What the fuck happened? Scott just ran backwards. Did your chair fall apart? Oh, Scott's wheel fell off. What do you want to do, Scott? You want to pause recording while we fix it?
I'm good. No, I'm good.
You sure?
More careful.
That
I
was
can't
very
fix it.
comical.
That was comical. It's like this podcast. The wheels just fucking fell off it.
Scott, describe what just happened.
I'm sitting on like a workshop stool. It's only about 1.5 feet tall with some casters on the bottom. And there's 5 of them, and one of them just fell off. All right.
And when it fell off, what I saw was Scott flailing his arms fruitlessly, like flailing them around like he's trying to fly in the air as he's like sliding backwards.
I believe I can fly.
It was pretty good. And Scott's off mic again as usual.
Sorry. My stool.
So, I don't know. So that's why I'm asking. Do you want me to pause the recording?
No, we're good. We're good.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what we were talking about before that. It was pretty,
You were
that
talking
was
about
pretty
you
funny.
feeling good? So good that I fell over.
Yeah.
Good thing I
Oh,
didn't
we were
drop my
talking about
bottle of wine.
I'm sorry, we were talking about primaries because today is primary day in New York. Did you vote today?
I did not.
That's surprising. Don't you usually?
I do, but I'm not a registered Republican or Democrat, so primaries usually don't appeal to me.
What? How are you registered?
As an independent.
I hate that.
I don't give a shit what you like.
No, I want you to. No, you don't even know why I hate that.
Doesn't matter.
You don't know why I hate that. You don't know.
All right.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Don't put these thoughts in my head.
All
All right. So look, it's interesting because I was having this conversation with my dad today. This exact same conversation. So independent.
Do you think he wanted the conversation to happen as much as I do?
I think you're fucking a prisoner right now and you have no choice. I mean, we're only 2 minutes into the podcast. We got to get at least an hour of it done.
All right.
So you're going to have to listen. So we're talking about what now, Scott? When you register as an independent, that doesn't mean that you're an independent. You're literally registering in the independent party, which is by definition because it's a party not independent.
I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to cut you off.
You want to register as non-affiliated. That is a designation.
There is independent, and then there is Independence Party. I'm not in the Independence Party.
I believe it's not independent. I believe the correct
Well,
term
it used
is
when I did it was
non-affiliated.
independent. Maybe it's non-affiliated now. I will check my voter card.
I think you should. I think you're registered in the independent
I am
party.
absolutely not. It's the Independence Party.
Okay.
First of all, you don't even know the name of the party.
Okay.
So, no, I'm not in the... And I know I'm not because someone I know thought they were in the independent category, but they've actually signed up for the independents. So when, like, these weird people that go running...
That's funny.
they'll ring doorbells and like ask you, oh, you're in the Independence Party, and they're like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not me.
Right. Okay.
I'm independent.
Well, either way.
But why do you hate it?
Why do I hate what?
You hate it because you thought I was in the Independence Party, or you hate it because you don't
I hate it because I thought you made a mistake and you registered independent thinking you're independent, but because that's what most people will do.
Gotcha.
But
I'm not most people, man.
That's not, I know. That's neither here nor there. I can't vote either because I'm registered non-affiliated, so I'm not in a party. Yeah. And that's fucked up that in New York we have like closed primaries. You have to be like a member of a party to vote. Like, what kind of democracy is that? Like, I should be able to vote.
The whole system.
Not every state is like that. There are some states where it doesn't matter. You can just go vote. Yeah. So how come it's not uniform like that?
Do I have to say it?
States'
because
rights.
We're culturally diverse, metropolitan area, and anything that causes people not to vote is what fucking people push for, man.
I got to tell you, Scott, that might be the smartest thing I've heard you say in like 8 years. That was quite astute. You've learned from me.
You know what the dumbest thing I probably ever said was? Yo, Rusty, let's do a podcast. That's probably the dumbest thing I ever said.
Yeah. Or the smartest. Yeah. That's the second smartest thing you've said over the last 8 years.
So, what's going on with the primaries today?
I don't know. I don't even know.
I don't even know what offices are up for election right now.
Well, congressional offices. There's no like Senate race in New York, but there's congressional races, and today's like a Democratic primary. There's one seat that's up for grabs, and it looks like that guy who was the lead attorney during Trump's impeachment trial, the first impeachment trial, because Trump was impeached twice.
Yeah, what a witch hunt.
So during the first impeachment, the Russiagate, he was like the lead lawyer. He's like, it seems like polling ahead of everyone else. He might get the Democratic nomination. And once you get the Democratic nomination in this district, that's pretty much like a victory, in November.
Oh, I thought once you got the Democratic nomination, they just like swapped you out for Hillary.
Yeah.
And they do that to Bernie. Oh, no, they didn't know she got the nomination because she entered the race at the last minute.
Hillary?
Yeah, didn't she enter the race? Like Bernie Sanders was like leading the Democrats, and then Hillary jumped in.
No.
That's the story I'm sticking to.
No, it's even worse because the problem with Hillary isn't that she jumped in at the last minute. The problem with Hillary is she felt like she was entitled to the presidency. Like it was her turn. Like that was her attitude. Her attitude.
Oh, she paid her dues. She was waiting.
It was
in
her
line.
turn,
wow,
and she was. Yeah. Let me tell you
She
something.
committed the right crimes.
When she lost to Obama in the Democratic primaries of 2008, because she thought it was her time in 2008. After Bush, she became like the senator. She was, from New York, this and that. And then like Obama was only in the Senate for like 4 years or something.
Yeah, he was
and then he decided to run for like the president, And she was mortified by that. And then when she started losing to him, like as the primary season wore on, she really became angry and started lashing out at Obama, which is ironic because when Bernie was in the race with her 4 years later or 8 years later in 2016, she was mortified that he was running, right? But then like when he dropped out, he started campaigning for her, but her voters kept complaining that like Bernie supporters are why like Hillary lost the election.
They split the vote kind of thing.
Well, that's not what happened. I'm just saying what Hillary supporters were claiming,
right?
But it was all bullshit. The bottom line is you brought up Hillary Clinton, and I'm here to say that it's not hard to understand why one of the most reviled and hated women in America lost to like someone who is a horrible human being. I mean, you know what I mean?
It was like battle of the worst.
Yes, in many ways, and what got voted for was someone who didn't have a legacy in politics, because Hillary did have a legacy in politics.
Okay, that's what some people might say. They wanted something different, somebody from the outside. But is that really why they voted for him?
I think that 70 million people voted for him, and I think that there are 70 million different reasons why they voted for him.
Yeah, maybe just 3 different reasons.
No. I can't say Trump did not win because of racism.
Okay.
Now, you could say that, and you can also say every racist that voted probably voted for Trump. Okay? So you could say every racist that voted for Trump, and maybe he even inspired racists to go and vote. Mm-hmm. But he did not win the presidency because of those racists. He won the presidency because Hillary herself didn't inspire enough of a turnout. And Trump, he brought out racists, I bet you, in states that go red anyway. Like, let's name, like, the states that he won where all the racists are. And those are states that were going to vote for, like, a Republican anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Good
so
point.
Those are his electoral points. Now, let's talk about why did Trump fucking win the Rust Belt? Why did he win Michigan? Let's talk about that.
I assume because he promised to bring manufacturing jobs back to America.
Well, it's because he had a tough stance on China and their, like, trade policy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of jobs in the Rust Belt were lost to China, And that was all under Clinton, first Bill Clinton, NAFTA, then the continuation of that, policy through Obama. Hillary was a senator, in between during the Bush years, and then she was in the Obama administration. Hillary was nothing more than a continuation of failed policies, and people in, like, the suburbs, they love, like, Democrats. They love Hillary. They love Obama. Of course, because they're in the suburbs. What they're not seeing, and another thing is, especially in a place like New York, when you're in the suburbs, right? And you're thinking of poor people. You're thinking of, like, black people.
Yeah.
But when you go out into actual America, like when you go into, like, Ohio and you go into Indiana and Idaho and fucking Nebraska, go look at where yes, of course, black people are poor there as well. But white people, shockingly, are poor also in this country.
Not shocked.
And so what happens is Democratic voters don't understand this. So to them, those people are just racist. They're voting for Trump because they're racist. No, they're voting for Trump, a lot of them, because they're poor, and they became poor as a result of neoliberal policy that was implemented by Bill Clinton and then continued administration after administration. So it's easy to say, if you're a partisan hack, Trump won because of racism, because then you don't have to examine yourself. You don't have to examine your own culpability or your own, like, actions and why did I not inspire enough people to come out and vote for me. And that person did. And if you're chalking it up to racism, then what are you really saying about this country? If you're chalking it up to racism, right? Then this country is gone. Like, you're saying this country's gone. It's reached a tipping point.
I don't know if we've gone over, but we're on the precipice. I firmly believe we are on the precipice.
You got to elaborate, man. I went on, like, a monologue. You got to elaborate.
I'm just staring at it. You got real into that, man. Really informative.
I mean, that's my thing.
Oh, it's really informative. No. You gave me something to think about. Let me think about it. We'll get back to it.
All right. You could think about it. So the primaries are going on today. Went to Six Flags in between recording last episode and this episode. Had a great time. Scott went away also. Scott's, like, hobnobbing on the east end of Long Island.
Chilling in the Hamptons, The rest of my rich people.
You know how Scott rolls.
Yeah. That's how I roll.
I mean, look at him drinking red wine. Didn't even tell us, stop telling us entirely. Like, you can't complain about the fact that there's no, like, previously on when you completely stop telling us what kind of wine you're drinking.
Because you're always like, who the fuck cares? Okay, let's hear the wine pour. Blah, 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 blah,
all right,
blah, blah.
so look.
What?
For the show, That's funny because it's funny that you're saying that, but
you're oppressive, man.
If you go back and listen to every episode, I always engage, and I'm like, oh, what kind of wine is that? Oh, that's red. Oh, I don't. Oh, white. I don't like white. Is that like blah blah blah? We have entire conversations. It's weird that you remember it as me making fun of it or mocking it. Because that's not how I remember it, and I'm sure if you play it back, that's not how it is.
I'm sure. Did you listen to the highlight reel? Did it all sound exactly how you remembered it?
I mean...
Yeah, exactly.
Look here, see? That's right.
So, yeah, I'm drinking a Zinfandel, and, it was very late into my wine days that I found out that there's a such thing as a Zinfandel. I always heard of white Zinfandel. I thought that was the only Zinfandel that was around. I had no idea Zinfandel was a red wine.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I'm not really that fond of it either. I mean, it might just be this one, but...
Is it like a hearty wine?
Yeah, it's pretty hearty. It's got some nice legs. It's got some nice color.
Because
I'm just not feeling it too much. It could be the brand, too. It's just and this is one of those screw-offs again.
I always thought like Zinfandel is like the gateway to wine. Or is that white Zinfandel?
White Zinfandel, yeah. I didn't know of regular Zinfandel, like a red Zinfandel.
White Zinfandel isn't white, is it?
Yeah.
No, then definitely.
I guess it's got kind of a pinkish tone to it, but it's not red. It's definitely not red.
Okay.
No, it's white. It's not even pinkish.
Yeah, I always thought like Zinfandel was basically like Beringer, right? Beringer is like a famous like Zinfandel, I think.
I think that's like a cheap, house.
But it's a Zinfandel, right?
I'm sure they make
that's like the gateway to wine.
Yeah, probably.
That's like what you would start drinking.
If I started with white Zinfandel, I don't think I would have continued to drink wine.
I used to have. Have you ever tried Crunchcara? Did I ever introduce you to Crunchcara? It's a Georgian.
Where did you meet her?
What? What'd you say?
I said, where'd you meet her?
Oh, where'd I meet her? Brighton Beach.
Oh.
It's where you meet any Crunchcara. It's a Georgia, the country, in the southern parts of the former Soviet Republic. No, Georgia. It's a country. Remember Russia invaded Georgia?
Yes, I know who Georgia is.
And then Obama did nothing about it.
What's he going to do?
Yeah. I mean, right. But it's easy for Republicans to attack him, and it's like, what do you want him to do? I mean, really, what do you want him to do? Like, what's he supposed to do?
Yeah. Georgia?
Right. So, it's a Georgian dessert wine.
Oh,
and
I was potent.
I was drinking it before, I really got into wine. Not that I really ever got into wine, but there was a period of time where I was drinking wines, and I got really into Georgian dessert wine, and then when I started drinking real wine, I started preferring Cabernets.
Yeah, me too. That's my fave.
That Georgian wine was just I can't drink it anymore. It's so goddamn sweet. It's sweet. Yeah,
I don't like it. I don't like sweet
but
wines.
If you're listening out there, Georgian dessert wine, Crunchcara, if you're into that kind of thing, it's really fucking good. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. I wonder if the Israelites could find any grapes anywhere in this
I don't know.
Podcast.
Were there accommodations not as good as yours out in the Hamptons?
I would say, based on what we're reading, no, the accommodations kind of sucked. And they had to build them every time they went anywhere.
Well, in fairness, what I do like about numbers now, as we're getting further into it, is that they're finally on the move.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, that's my breaking news alert.
Oh,
and it's a Florida governor primary alert.
Uh-oh, what books are getting banned?
Representative Charlie Crist, the state's former Republican governor, won the Democratic race. He will face Ron DeSantis
Wait, a
in
former
November.
Republican is now a Democrat.
Scott,
wow, it really has shifted so much.
What have I been telling you? I've told you on the show now so many times.
Yeah,
Democrats
so many
are
times.
what Republicans used to. Yeah, we've talked about the Overton window. Scott, I can't keep educating you if you don't remember anything I tell you. The audience remembers. They know. They're educated. Yeah. Some of them.
I wonder if the
not
audience
the Canadians so
stares
much.
blankly at their podcast listening device, just stares through it like I do when you start talking.
The audience, maybe just the Canadians and Southerners.
They're just staring right through their iPod.
Yeah, they're like, oh, what's the Maple Leafs record? Oh yeah, it doesn't matter because they're gonna lose in the first round anyway.
All right, so we're gonna start off with
that's another shout out to Soy Boy. That's 3 weeks in a row.
Wow.
That's 3 shout-outs to Soy Boy now.
You spoken to this guy?
What do you mean? Like
I mean,
verbally?
electronically.
Yeah.
Who talks to people like on the phone anymore?
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate that shit.
Yeah. He messages me. I'll message him.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm a
Does
people
he do a
person.
podcast too?
I'm a people person.
Yeah, you're a people person. Does he do a podcast also?
Yeah, with me. We do a podcast about you.
Send me the link. Numbers 13. Spies sent into Canaan. Finally, some interesting stuff's going to happen, huh?
Is that what we're doing? We're doing Numbers 13? Yeah. It's definitely interesting because they're no longer stuck at the base of Sinai. They get to move around.
I'm still not sure about that. It's still written in ways like I'm wondering like what movements really happened or what movements just being talked about happening.
You think so?
Well,
It definitely doesn't say. No, I'm pretty sure like it glosses over like they went through here and they went through there. Yeah. Didn't they hit like Beersheba again last episode?
Yeah.
They hit like one of those places that we've like run into.
I want to hit that joint. So God tells Moses, get one leader from all 12 tribes. So 12 spies he's going to send into Canaan. Yep, that's what's happening.
Oh, that was such an abrupt stop to the narrative. Are you waiting for me to say something?
No. You know what? Not anymore.
I mean, I do have something to say. It's just
okay. About the 12.
You usually have to, if we're honest, you've taken over the role of narrator, and like you'll typically ramble on for like a good 20 minutes, like reading through your notes.
That's what I do.
And then, like I'll wait for like a break.
You're the color guy here?
I'll wait for you to like take a breath so I could get a word in edgewise. That's why in the beginning I got to front load like what I say, because during the show you're just like basically reading the whole like plot.
You know what?
There's not a lot for me to say.
I guess the truth is somewhere in the middle, because like I don't see it that way, but okay.
All right.
What?
So what I find interesting about this is this gets back to what you keep saying and that you've been saying since the first episode. Yahweh is not omnipotent. And here again, like, why do spies need to be sent ahead? Like, what information can a spy glean that Yahweh cannot?
As soon as I read this, I was like, exactly what you were thinking just now, what you said. And like, only bad can come of it. When you got the people riled up, just go. Don't go. Don't like send 12 spies in to maybe come back with a report you don't like.
No. Look, I got to say this. Let's rewind the Bible to when he meets Abraham, and let's make this more accurate. He meets Abraham, and he tells Abraham, let's make a covenant. You cut your dick off and cut the dicks off of like, not the dick. That's hyperbolic. All right. Cut like skin off your dick and cut like skin off the dicks of like every newborn baby for the rest of like time. And I promise you, I'm going to give you like land that your like kin will be able to live on forever, right? That was the covenant. Well, he's got to amend the covenant. And this is how it's got to go now. He's got to say...
What's he doing?
He's got to say this. He's amending the covenant. Yahweh.
He's altering the agreement?
Oh, shit, Scott. Do it.
All right, no, I'm not doing it.
All right. So, yes, he's altering the agreement. So this is what the altered agreement should be, if he was honest. Abraham, I want you to cut, like, pieces off your penis and, like, the pieces off every penis of every male-born Israelite. And in return, I will be a general of an army that will one day try to take over land that you then will get to keep. Because that's pretty much what's happening.
That's not going to inspire anybody to cut their foreskin off.
Right.
So he's got to tell these ridiculous like stories.
So,
and perform these miraculous
he's
acts.
not doing anything. What happened to like the cloud of smoke ahead of the army that disarms the enemy? Why does he need to send spies? Why not? Why all of this rigmarole?
I think it's going to end up saying, when we get through this, some Bible defender is going to say it was another test of their faith.
That's retconning everything.
Yeah, you think?
All right. So they're going to send spies.
Yeah, so they pick one person from each tribe, and the Ephraim clan sends Hoshea, son of Nun, N-U-N, not son of nobody.
But Moses didn't like that. There was something about Hoshea, right? So what does he do?
He changes his name to Joshua for no explanation.
Yeah, there's no there's no explanation.
Do you think
he just changed this guy's name?
Do you think, like, because the congregation's pretty big now, somebody screamed out, "Hey, where's that dude Joshua that disappeared? Did he ever come back?" And Moses probably grabbed this guy. He goes, "Here he is." He's like, "Oh, he looks different. Well, it's been a long time." He's aged a little. Like, maybe it's a cover-up.
Maybe. Or maybe it's like one of those ridiculous names. You know how like some people come up with like totally ridiculous names for their kids now? And like, you know, and all the more power to them, but you got to realize that people are going to like look at your name like it's a weird fucking name on a resume. And like, Hoshea might be one of those names that was like, nah, man, I ain't playing that fucking game. You're Joshua.
Well, you know what? I don't feel bad about mispronouncing people's names then, if this is what this guy's going to do. That's interesting. That could be it.
Oh, you done fucked up now, Hoshea.
Oh, right, because Moses was like dumb-tongued, right? Like he wasn't a good speaker.
Moses wasn't a great speaker.
Yeah, so we know the name of Joshua earlier, so yeah, maybe.
All right, so Moses, he gets this group of people, and he sends them to spy, and this is what he tells them. In Numbers, what are we on? Numbers 13, verse 18, he says, "And see what the land is like, and whether the people who live in it are strong or weak, whether they are few or many, and whether the land they live in is good or bad, and whether the towns that they live in are unwalled or fortified, and whether the land is rich or poor, and whether there are trees in it or not. Be bold and bring some of the fruit of the land."
Yeah.
All right. So, one.
It's a recon mission.
I feel like everyone in biblical times is autistic because everything is so goddamn very fucking specific. Like, he's giving them instructions about, you're going to go spy on this place, and this is what I need you to make sure you fucking bring back. And it's all like the basic shit that like a spy would know. Like, okay, you want to know how big are the cities? Are they well fortified? How many people are there? Do the people look like they could fight or not? You know what I mean? It's like basic shit. He's not telling them any like...
They've never been... These are the first spies. Nobody's been a spy before that we know of.
No, come on, man. There's definitely... Nah. There's
first of this group.
We just were introduced to the Egyptian kingdom. Come on.
He said pick the 12 leaders of the tribes. So those 12 leaders may not have had any spy experience. And this is a critical military operation.
Yahweh's always doing shit.
They have to have a checklist. They have to complete all their objectives before they return.
Yeah.
Because, come on, how many times you could set out to do a bunch of tasks at work or at home or something, or the grocery store, and you forgot the lemons? Like, you forgot one thing. You're like, oh, fuck, I should have brought a list with me.
Sure.
Yeah, so come on. It's redundancy, man. It's military efficiency.
All right. You're always defending the characters.
I don't know if I'm doing that. But
you're always defending them.
All right, so they go to Zin, they go to Rehob, Lebo, Namath, Hamath, Negeb, Hebron, Araman, Shenshe, Talmai. And then they put a thing in they went to Hebron, and they put a note. Hebron was built 7 years before Zon in Egypt. First of all, how do they know? Second of all, who the fuck cares?
Well, maybe it's like important for people who are reading it at that time. I don't know. But here's the part I found interesting. So in his decree to the spies, right, Moses wraps it up by saying, be bold and bring some of the fruit of the land.
Yeah, be bold, quote. Steal.
That was literally the quote. So now, in Numbers, well, that's what I thought. Be bold, bring some of the fruit of the land, right? What does that mean?
Steal.
But like what? What do you mean?
They wanted to bring back a sample to show these, what do you call it? Stiff-necked people. Like, they got good stuff here, or they have bad stuff.
All right.
Bring something, because you have to.
What would be an example of some stuff?
Like an apple tree.
Okay. Like an apple tree?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
small one, obviously.
So that's not how I read it, because I read it, and I was like, he's saying, like, be bold, be brave, and bring some of the fruit of the land, right? So fruit of the land to me is a metaphor. It doesn't necessarily have to mean like the actual fruits of the land. It could be like, what those people created like in their like cities, like rob them and steal them and bring some shit back to like motivate our people. And they came to the Wadi Eshol and cut down from there a branch with a single cluster of grapes. Ooh, that's being real bold. It's a single cluster of grapes on a branch. And they carried it on a pole between the two of them. Oh, look at how many grapes we have. So we cut down a branch and we're carrying it together. They also brought some pomegranates and figs. I don't think that's being bold. I don't think pomegranates, figs, and a branch of grapes.
You're in a foreign land taking their shit. So it's somewhat bold.
I mean, look.
I got to assume like there's not people everywhere. They could have found a branch somewhere secluded that had some apples and figs or whatever the fuck's on it.
Oh, so they were cowardly and they chopped.
So did 12 of these dudes, they traveled together? Because they went to a lot of places.
Because I would assume not. I would assume they would split up.
Yeah, but then how did they all like, they set their sundials to like meet back here in 40 days or something?
Oh, you mean like in the plot? How is it that they all showed up together?
Well, yeah, we're not there yet.
Because it's all crazy.
Because I'm thinking 12 random dudes show up together.
Yeah.
You're going to stand out. One guy by himself.
No, they obviously are all being dispatched to different like parts of Canaan.
Okay. Maybe they're traveling in twos.
Plus, as spies, it's easier to blend in or, be secretive, furtive. Love that word. In smaller numbers.
What was that word? I'm sorry.
Furtive.
Spell it.
Furtive.
I'll check that one out.
Furtive.
All right. So
that gets us to the report of the spies. What did the spies have to say, Scott?
Well, they come back after I wrote 40 years, but it was 40 days. So they say the land is full of milk and honey.
That's the title of today's episode, by the way.
The report of the spies.
You know that song, and I would walk 500 miles.
I'm pretty sure I made that joke at some point.
But what's the name of that song? It's not. It's
what
is it?
When I wake up.
So that's the episode. That's the name of our episode. Oh, it's called "I'm Gonna Be" because it's "I'm Gonna Be" and then 500 miles.
I mixed that song up with "Pulling Muscles from a Shell" for some reason. Is it the same group?
I like that song more. "Pulling Muscles from a Shell." No, it's not.
All right, it sounds just as awful.
So the name of our episode 34 is "I'm Gonna Be ... 40 years." Because they're not walking 500 miles. They're going to be walking for 40 years in the desert. I'm going to be 40 years.
Yes, you're going to be quite the music producer when you grow up.
What? No, it's got nothing to do with music. It's the pun. The pun of what's going on. So what's that have to do with being a music producer?
Well, then why did you say it the way you did? You said it like a lyric. You tried to say it like a lyric.
I'm the combative one. Go ahead, Scott. No, go ahead. The report of the spies. So what do the spies have to say?
They come back. They said the land is full of milk and honey.
Always with the milk and honey.
Yeah, people are strong. The towns are fortified. And we met the descendants of Anak, which we're not going to get into right now.
Go ahead.
Right.
But they definitely put some respect on that name, right? They were like, we met the descendants of Anak. So
this dude, Caleb, one of the spies, was like, yeah, whatever. Let's go. Let's go get it.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, what? No. The land devours its inhabitants. Yo, we saw the Nephilim. Or the Nephilim or the Nephilim.
Yeah.
Those are the descendants of Anak.
Yeah.
We were like a grasshopper to them.
Yep.
Like, they were so big. Yeah. So the fucking Giants are back.
Yeah.
Like, he's not saying, like, I thought maybe just a basketball team. He's saying we were like grasshoppers to them. So these are like not Lord of the Rings. Was that show the Game of Thrones Giants?
So here's the thing, Scott. I don't know how seriously to take this guy's account. I don't know, like, what level of hyperbole he's engaging in.
This is locker room talk.
So let's read it, all right? So it's Numbers 13.
Did I describe it for you? If you could have just read it.
Well, I want to read it to break it down.
Okay.
So you gave, like, a whole general, like, explanation. But, like, the question is this real? Like, is he really saying the Nephilim are walking around? You know what I mean? I think that deserves like closer examination. Okay. So in Numbers 13, verse 30, but Caleb quieted the crowd, as you said, and then it goes down. So they brought to the Israelites an unfavorable report of the land they had spied out, saying, quote, the land that we have gone through as spies is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are of great size. There we saw the Nephilim, and then in parentheses, the Anakites come from the Nephilim, close parentheses, and to ourselves we seem like grasshoppers, and so we seem to them. So I think he's saying when he says we saw the Nephilim, and then in parentheses it says the Anakites come from the Nephilim, I think the Anakites might be like, big people, kind of like Samoans or something, just like bigger than like everyone else. I don't think it's really the Nephilim. I don't think he's describing giants.
All right.
I think it's kind of like saying that when you're looking at a bird, you're like, look at that little dinosaur. It's like that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's a descendant of, but it's not that.
So they're not quite that big, but they're pretty big.
Yes. I think this is like again, this is the Bible and crazy shit is going down.
Yeah.
But, I'm not sure that it's literally the Nephilim.
It sounds like you're being the apologist now.
I mean, listen, we take contradictory roles. That's our job.
Yeah. That was in the description?
So that is Numbers 13, and that gets us to Numbers 14. The people rebel.
Wow, that's some good math you did there.
That's about all the math I'm capable of, really.
The people rebel.
The people rebel.
Yeah, everyone cries and complains, and here we go. Let's go back to Egypt.
Yeah, I want to read it. Then all the congregation raised a loud cry, and the people wept that night. And all the Israelites complained against Moses and Aaron. The whole congregation said to them, would that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would that we had died in this wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us into this land to fall by the sword? Our wives and our little ones will become booty. Would it not be better for us to go back to Egypt? So they said to one another, let us choose a captain and go back to Egypt. All right. Do you remember when they complained that they wanted some meat because they were a little tired of manna, what God did?
Yeah.
Or Yahweh?
Yeah, they got some meat, all right.
Yeah. Now, this ain't no meat they're complaining about. Now they're complaining about just like, what the fuck are we doing out here? Let's go back to Egypt.
Well, because they see the odds are against them. They see it's like ridiculous. We can't beat these people.
No. It's a perfectly rational argument. Yeah. I'm saying, what kind of wrath will Yahweh now bring upon them when he got so angry over, like, the manna?
They're stiff-necked, man. They don't get it. Like, you might want to, like, complain about the government, like, quietly in this country.
Here's the thing, though. At what point do you go from, is it the fact that they're stiff-necks, or have they just reached, like, a threshold of, like, pain and anguish under, like, Yahweh's leadership?
No. Because the moment like somebody turns their back, they're making golden calves. They're just looking to go back to Egypt.
I mean,
anyway.
In fairness, they haven't done that for like over a year now. It's been
right.
It's been a year since their last golden calf.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
You think they set up like Golden Calf Anonymous?
I think that
it's been 6 months since I've thought about making a golden calf.
We love you, Rusty.
You got to take it one day at a time, man. Like yesterday, I had a real craving to make a golden calf. I had to call up my sponsor.
Yeah, so to your point, yes, they should know that Yahweh's going to have some wrath for them.
All right. So now in the next section, right? So they've just complained. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the Israelites. What is that? What's all the assembly? Is that all 700,000 of them?
I guess.
Do they have speakers? Like, how do they hear?
I don't know.
Like, the people in the back got to be like, what's going on? Like, they're like trying to like look over the shoulder of the person in front of them.
Yeah, I wonder, like, how many of these commands like make it to the guy in the back?
Yeah, no. I've gone to see like the symphony in the park. You know, like the New York Philharmonic will play like Central Park or Cunningham Park. And I've gone to see it, and I'm pretty far away. And they have like screens and speakers. Sure. And it sounds like shit. Because you want to be where they are. I can't imagine what this is like. Like, if you're the 700th person and you're like listening to fucking old man Moses fucking rattling on. So, all right. So Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly. And Joshua, the guy whose name got changed, right? That's the guy who was like the other name. And Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes and said to all the congregation of the Israelites, the land that we went through as spies is good land. So now they're going to try and convince them that, like, what are you guys doing? Like, you know. But here's the thing, man. Here's what I want you to imagine, Scott. The melodrama of the whole situation. Okay. This starts off with all the congregation raised a loud cry. Do you think all 700,000 people, like, went, ah? Like, what does that mean? That all the congregation, and then
they all went home to their respective homes and wept in their respective ways, and
that's it. That's
yeah.
Well, then Moses and his brother fall down, face down, and start to plead with them.
Well, they fall down face down first, not to plead with them, I don't think.
What do you think they're
doing? I think they're saying,
for?
Again with these fucking people.
Oh, you think they're just frustrated? like, oh, my God.
I got to go back to fucking Yahweh with this shit. You're like, Yahweh's got it bad. Moses is like a lower middle manager.
They're smashing their fist into the ground. All right, that's fair. And then these guys, this guy, he's so committed, Caleb, he's like tearing his clothes. He's like, what is that all about? So is that like a power move?
I was like, did they Hulk out on their own clothes? Or did they like tear all the other people's clothes?
No, he's tearing his own clothes. Yeah. He's like, roar.
Wow. And they're like, they'll be like bread for us. Their protections removed. Do not fear the Canaanites.
Yeah. This is, it's melodrama. Like, the way it's written is melodrama, and there's no way that anything like this could have possibly ever happened.
Yeah.
Unless people acted like this back then.
Yeah, I got to think, Caleb might have been batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Or he totally was devoted to the Lord.
Right.
And he totally drank the Kool-Aid.
But we've met people like that before in the Bible. Like, we've come across Caleb's before.
We've met people like that on the subway.
That's pretty good. All right. So, the spies, Caleb specifically, he's going to start trying to talk to people out of, like, you know, going back to Egypt. Good.
And the congregation threatened to stone them.
Which it's going to be funny for them later on.
They should have probably done it.
Right. So that's when the threat of the stoning is involved against, like, Caleb, because Caleb wants them to press on. He wants to conquer Canaan. They're like, fuck this, let's go back. And that's when, quote, in verse 10 of Numbers 14, the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting to all the Israelites. What does that mean?
The BSD showed up.
But okay, it doesn't say he appeared. It says the glory of the Lord appeared. So you know what I'm saying? Like,
just the BSD.
It's couched in this language where it's like you can argue he's there, and you can argue no, that's just.
Did you see they had a concert a couple years ago and they hologram Tupac?
Yes.
That's what it is. It's just a hologram of him.
So this is what's happening. So
Yeah.
it's him, but it's not him.
Yeah, it's him on the view screen.
Okay.
And he's like, what the fuck?
So he shows up, right? And the Lord said to Moses, which is weird because he shows up to the whole congregation, right? It's almost like a diss to everybody. You know, like...
See, I don't know, though.
So...
It seems like the God only shows up above the ark.
It says, the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting to all the Israelites.
Oh, okay.
So he's appearing to all the Israelites, and the first thing he does is he turns to Moses. He doesn't like address the people. He's like, it's like that's the way to show someone you're so angry at them. You don't even address them.
Oh,
you address like
ice.
the
You
other
just ice them
right.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. So he appears and he says to Moses in verse 11, how long will this people despise me? And how long will they refuse to believe in me? In spite of all the signs that I have done among them, I will strike them with pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make of you a nation greater and mightier than they.
Yeah, he's super pissed.
Yeah, I mean, how can he not be pissed? Right?
And listen, in his defense, yeah. Like, why are these people not remembering everything I did?
Right, like with the Egyptians.
Everything.
I hear you. I mean, I could see your argument. Like, they've been, like, camping in the wilderness for a year, but it's a small price to pay for, like, this being that's obviously, like, very powerful and got you out of bondage. And, like, the least you could do is, like, give him some time or it's some time.
It's a lot of time, though. Listen, so I can see both sides of this argument here.
Yeah. Well, Moses is going to intercede for the people. As always, Moses is going to be like a bitch boy for humans to God.
I think this is strong on Moses' part. He's standing up to Yahweh.
Does he, or does he sort of play it like
he plays him?
Yahweh's
He plays him.
Yes.
Yeah, but how could God be played?
That's weird. And how can God be played, Scott? Yeah, explain
By
how
stroking his ego.
It's always God's ego. He
uses the same thing.
Yeah.
He said the same thing. He said, if you kill us all dead now, word's going to get back to the Egyptians that you killed us all dead because you couldn't fulfill your promise of bringing us to the promised land. Yeah. So twice he did that.
And he's like, and who's going to spread like your glory? Who's going to spread your glory?
It's like when Captain Picard says something to Worf and he uses like Klingon honor shit to convince him to do something. And he's like, you always use Klingon rules against me to make me do things. And he's like, because it always works. And so he's got Yahweh's number.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Moses knows there's something up with this guy, man.
So Moses plays, to God's ego. And what I found funny is this line that the Lord is slow to anger.
Do you remember that line?
What?
You remember that line? He's quoting back something God said to him.
Oh, explain. I don't.
This next thing that you're going to read about slow to anger is something God said. Let everybody know. Okay. And we laughed about it because he's neither slow to anger or anything else he says.
So Moses says to God, quote, the Lord is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the parents upon the children to the third and the fourth generation.
I think what happened was, at this point, Yahweh covers the microphone and turns to his partner off screen and goes, fuck, he remembered I said that. So now he's using his own words against them.
He's throwing out so many rules. He's figuring, like, Moses ain't going to remember any of this.
Moses might not be able to speak very well, but apparently he can remember shit.
Yeah. So, Moses winds up convincing Yahweh
somewhat
not to incinerate 700,000 people.
But Yahweh's like, okay, forgiven, but there's a big condition here.
Go ahead.
No one who saw my power, nobody that was back in Egypt and saw what the fuck I did and still despises me is going to be forgiven. Because you should have known better. So basically, everybody but Caleb, because he's the man now.
Yeah, because Caleb's like ripping his clothes off. Yeah. He's like all into it.
This is not going to end well for those people. And it brings us to an attempted invasion is repulsed. So now I guess word's gotten down to the people like Yahweh's going to kill all of yous now.
Well, wait, you've skipped over the biggest part, by the way.
Biggest part.
Yeah. So what is the punishment ultimately going to be for these people that witnessed his power in Egypt and have turned their backs on him?
He's going to kill them.
No. They will never see, he says, the eventual homeland. They will die before they reach it.
Oh, right. And he gets really graphic, and he goes, I put this in quotes. God says, as I live, I will do the things I heard you say. There'll be dead bodies everywhere. Mm-hmm. Anybody in the census that we took that's 20 years and older is not going to make it to the promised land. Mm-hmm. Bodies everywhere. But he said, as I live.
Here's what he says. So in verse 22, he says, none of the people who have seen my glory and the signs that I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and yet have tested me these 10 times and have not obeyed my voice, shall see the land that I swore to give to their ancestors. None of the people who have seen my glory, you understand?
Yeah.
Shall live to see the land that I swore to give to their ancestors. None of those who despise me shall see it. But my servant Caleb, and then he goes on, so Caleb and his people. So like Moses, he's never going to reach the promised land. Like none of these people are going to reach the promised land.
So anybody that was 20 years or older when they left Egypt, because they've all witnessed it, isn't going to make it. That's most of the people, I would assume. Like, how many people were born on this journey so far?
Make them wander around in like the wilderness.
How many people were born thus far in the year or two they've been out? Not a lot, I'm sure.
I don't know.
And
Tens of thousands.
he's really grabby. He's really about. You think so?
Yeah, like in a city of like 600,000 people, how many births are there in a year?
That's different. You come home from work. You get there's a lot of this life sucks, man.
There's nothing to do. All the more reason to bang.
Right, and the mana is falling like crazy, so there's plenty to eat. It's shit, but it's eat.
Yeah.
It's food, yeah.
And you might be trying to set yourself up for the future. Like, this Yahweh, he's going to lead you into, the promised land. So you want to, build and establish your clan. You got to have 10 kids if you want 5 to survive. You know what I mean? This that time period where, kids are just dying from, farm accidents or fishing accidents.
I think if we check the
Yahweh accidents.
What do you call that when the
Yahweh accidents? You don't think that was funny?
Yeah, that's funny. What do you call it when the child doesn't make it? What the hell's the name? Infant mortality.
Okay.
I think infant mortality. I believe the rate in states like Texas is out of control. Well, it's close to some third world countries.
In the U.S. as a whole, it's close to third world countries.
Ridiculous. Mm-hmm. All right, so. So they're all going to be dead except for Caleb and Joshua.
It's worse for African Americans, even if you take into account socioeconomic status. So even wealthier African Americans get fucking poorer health treatment than white people who are poorer than they are. It's weird.
No, it's not weird. It's fucking expected.
Okay. It's weird.
Yo, man, they have different they had medical things on the books that if a black patient and a white patient come in with the same thing, you treat them differently.
Really?
Yeah, it's sort of
that's fucked up.
There's a liver a test, a GFR testing where it says for African Americans you got to be greater than 50 and whites you got to be greater than 45.
Is that a genetic thing or?
I'm assuming.
Is it real or are they justifying?
I'm assuming that they felt it was justified because there were differences.
Okay.
But then they found out there are no differences.
Right.
And apparently black people that complain of pain in the hospital are taken less seriously than white people.
Right.
They're just trying to get having the easy way out. They just want drugs.
Wow.
It's a whole freaking thing, man. It was a disturbing article. If I can find it, I'll send it to you.
That's fucked up shit, man.
Yeah. What are we talking about? Oh, yeah. So now they're saying the children are going to wander the wilderness for 40 years. Mm-hmm. So this is what I didn't understand. The children are going to make it, but it's going to take them 40 years, and all the adults are going to die within those 40 years?
I'm unclear on who makes it and who doesn't, but I'm assuming a large percentage of these people aren't going to make it.
And if he says it's going to take 40 years and the spies went all around Canaan and came back within 40 days, like the trip's not that far.
No, it's not a far
trip. This is fucked up Blair Witch kind of punishment.
So I've read that from Egypt to where they will eventually settle, it's like 10 days on foot.
Oh, wow.
It's like a 10-day walk. Like with that many people, it would have taken 10 days.
Carrying all that stupid tabernacle
that
shit.
Distance, yeah. So it's like nothing.
Double it. You got to double it. No, at least 20 days.
All right. Let's say a month. Let's say a year.
To your credit, I was watching that Expedition Unknown thing.
Yes.
That
you were
talking
telling
about?
me about it. Yeah.
They said there is no historical record of any great exodus from Egypt at that period. But they found evidence of an exodus before that. Mm-hmm. So they were just saying maybe that's the one they meant.
Right.
Like they had the years wrong.
Well, there was an original exodus of early man leaving Africa to spread out like throughout different parts of...
I don't think that's what they were alluding to, because I think they would have like clarified like that was...
You never know, man. They could be misleading you,
Just ratings.
Yeah. It's misleading.
So 10 out of 12 spies get plagues. Caleb and Joshua are fine. The other 10 that gave a bad report got killed. It's basically like they got killed because the boss didn't like the news they gave him.
Right.
Or they were coming back with fake news. Fake news. It's all fake news.
Or maybe when the people were like, let's not, because it was only Joshua and that other guy that tried to convince the people, so he fucking fucked all the other spies because they didn't rip their clothes off, what's his name?
So, Caleb and Joseph.
Caleb, yeah,
or Joshua.
Caleb.
So, we're talking about a mass killing event, right? Like, he's not killing them all at once, but they're all going to die within 40 years.
So again, technically God is not allowed to fucking commit mass murder. Remember, after fucking Noah's Ark, he promised never to commit mass murder, and the rainbow is a sign of that covenant. So every time you see a rainbow, that means God just averted fucking more mass murder. But he's always finding loopholes to that, He's not directly committing murder.
Maybe God is a psychopath lawyer. Like he finds loopholes around the law.
Yeah,
and defends the worst people.
For sure.
Like he defends Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, everyone deserves a defense.
Yeah, everyone deserves.
A defense,
which is true. Maybe not a good defense,
is it true?
though.
I don't think it's true. I don't think there's any statement that you can make that can be taken literally when it's taken to the extreme.
Of course. But regardless of
that's it. So not everybody deserves a
regardless
fucking defense.
of the crime
most
you commit,
people deserve a defense.
Regardless of the crime you commit, you deserve a trial. You deserve evidence to be presented, arguments to be made.
Sure.
And you deserve to have somebody that knows laws, because how many people are put into jail based on a twisted distortion of the law because their lawyer wasn't good enough? They got the public defender. They got Joe Pesci. Well, damn, that's not a good example. But they got some backwater public defender.
I hear you.
How many people have been exonerated after better lawyers got involved?
Every single movie that I've ever seen that has a public defender in it, that public defender was the best lawyer in the fucking world. All right, so I don't have a problem with public defenders.
I don't watch all those procedurals.
No, it's a joke.
Oh,
because a movie would be made about the hard luck fucking public defender who everybody shits on, but is really this fucking genius lawyer, and
was
he
Tom
wins
Cruise
this
the version
massive case against the tobacco company.
Was Tom Cruise the JAG version of a public defender?
Well, listen, it could be Tom Cruise, it could be Matthew McConaughey, it could be
he played a lawyer.
What?
He played a lawyer in something.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
A Time to Kill. If you really want to know, it was A Time to Kill,
I don't really want to know.
which was a John Grisham book.
So basically,
Samuel L. Jackson was in it.
Samuel L. Jackson
that guy
in everything.
is in fucking He was in the Star Wars fucking prequels. He's in every single fucking Marvel movie.
He got a purple lightsaber because he requested one.
Yeah. he's grossed more money than like any actor in history by far. He surpassed Harrison Ford, who held the previous record.
There's not a job he won't take.
It's
the only person we got to compare, like who's been in more movies, Samuel L. Jackson or Nicolas Cage?
Well, Sam Jackson is way better though,
Of
because
course.
he's not like buffoonish.
Nicolas Cage was going direct to video to pay for all his castles he bought. Yeah.
Listen,
So now the people I guess get wind of this, like we're all gonna die, and now they all go, "Yo, let's storm the castle now." We're gonna go up into the foothills. At first, I thought they were gonna go up to like speak to God personally, but no, they're looking to invade Canaan, like all disorganized, and instead of this is why I think Yahweh has to swallow his ego a little bit.
Why?
Okay, because they despised him and they went against him, but now they came on board because they're fearing for their lives and they're ready to invade. And like Moses is like, why do you keep going against his word? No, and you're gonna fucking die within the next 40 years, and that's just what you got to do.
Yeah, they're stiff necks.
Yeah, but they came around and like, okay, rather than die, let's go storm the Canaans.
Stiff necks.
I heard you.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like 1 minute they're like this, the next minute they're like that.
But Yahweh is getting what he wants now. But he's too pissed off about what happened before to get over it. So he's not going to let it happen.
Yeah, well, he's already set his punishment. God doesn't really go back on his covenant except when it's convenient for him. When it involves like murdering people and like people suffering and dying, then he's very like strict about his word. He's got zero tolerance.
Yeah. So they storm into Canaan.
I'm sorry. Zero tolerance. Let's talk about zero tolerance for a second in regards to schools that teach the Bible in them. Let's specifically Catholic schools in this country. I'm sure Muslim schools and other what are they called? Is it a madras? A madras? Shit,
I forgot.
How do I not know what a Muslim school is called?
Oh my God.
A madras. I'm pretty sure it's madras.
Yeah.
All right. So
what's a Jewish school called?
A Jewish school?
A
yeshiva.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. So I am sure that in all of these religions, in all the Abrahamic religions, they have like zero tolerance policies. Maybe not every one of those schools, not every madras, not every yeshiva, not every Catholic school, but like a good amount of them. And I don't understand it because of two reasons. One, Catholicism, the whole fucking religion is literally based on, I'm sorry, Scott, I'm going to spoil like the Bible and Christianity.
This guy, man.
The whole religion is based on Christ dying for our sins. So therefore, all we have to do is confess our sins and we're cleansed, and we're good in the eyes of the Lord, right?
Okay.
So the whole premise of their religion is based on that. And two, they're in education where kids make mistakes and they teach these kids not to make mistakes or strategies to go about not making these mistakes. So when a kid fucks up, right? Let's say a kid does cocaine in the bathroom of school and he gets thrown out of school because that school has a zero tolerance policy. Well, then you're not really a school because you're not really teaching these children. You know what I'm saying? You're teaching them certain subjects, but you're not really teaching these children.
Wait. You mean they're not teaching him not to do cocaine, or they're not teaching him how to like break the addiction or be a better person, or what? Like what do you mean?
Well, what I mean is working with that child to maybe say like, you're in middle school or you're in high school and it's not wise to be doing cocaine in general, much less like on school premises. And, like, let's look at your grades and, okay,
like a guidance counselor,
you're
right?
doing like okay. And in other words, you have an intervention with the student. You don't throw the student out and say, we're done with you because of this one mistake.
Adam and Eve.
Unless like a student, murder someone or physically assault someone, unless a student is a danger physically to someone, you can't just throw a student away, especially if you are a religious school, because the basis of your religion, you will tell me, is forgiveness. Every religion will tell you, like, forgiveness and love towards, you know what I mean?
After we punish you.
So it's like...
So is a zero tolerance policy a thing in Catholic schools?
Yeah, not just in Catholic schools. A lot of schools, like a lot of charter schools, and people are like all proud of it, you know? People are all proud of it. And you know what else is great, by the way? All right. Let's say some fucked up shit happens, like in this country, right? Let's say a Muslim drives a truck through a crowd of people. Right? You'll hear like fucking people like in the South be like, if this was Iran, we would have fucking, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, are you praising Iran for like, because it sounds like you're praising Iran for the way they run shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm talking about when people do that, right? It's like people don't hear themselves, man. People don't fucking hear themselves. Yeah. Assholes.
Well, the first thing, that's not the first thing they're going to say. The first thing they're going to say is, which terrorist cell is he connected with? Right? Not his brakes failed or he fell asleep because he's working 3 jobs to get over.
Well, I mean, in fairness, at this point, when like a truck runs into like a crowd of people and it's like, you know, a Muslim man like driving it, it's not like, you know, a huge leap to think like, you know, this is terrorism, because we've seen it.
Yeah.
You want to say I'm profiling? Whatever.
No, we saw it on the West Side Highway.
My point is, I've never wished for them to be punished the way like they would have been punished in Pakistan.
No, it's just ridiculous.
Because I like the laws of this country if they actually were enforced.
Exactly. Yeah.
The constitutional laws of this country are just fine if they're fucking enforced and enacted.
Speaking of zero tolerance, it's interesting. I just read an article about a school. I just read it, so I don't remember where the school was, but it was a Catholic school. I want to say it's Texas, but I could be wrong. They have the American flag flying at the school. Below it, they had the gay pride flag flying, and below that, the Black Lives Matter flag flying, and the diocese let them know, like, that's inappropriate. That goes against our teachings. You need to take down those 2 flags. So they were like, no, we're not going to take them down. No. So they basically said they can no longer call themselves a Catholic school. They basically cut them off. And it's the only Catholic school, from what I understand, in the area or in the state, one of 2 maybe, that is free and caters to the underprivileged.
Wow.
So the majority of their student body are people of color.
Wow.
And they ran the whole same narrative about, we're not going to talk about the gay pride flag, but the Black Lives Matter flag, they were basically saying all lives matter, and that's what we teach. Like that bullshit rhetoric.
You know what's fucking crazy about that story? Why not just like...
I'm gonna put it on the headlines page of our website.
All right. Why not just replace the priest or whoever runs that like school with someone who will take that? Why would you punish like all the kids and like close down that, you know, school?
Yeah, I would think they have the power to do that. They move people out of schools all the time. Yeah, I don't know.
If that same priest had diddled like 15 boys, they would have moved them to like another school, like a state over.
Yeah, of course.
You know, they would have like landed him somewhere else.
Yeah. While lambasting the LGBTQ.
Yeah. The Catholic Church is fucking disgusting. The Catholic Church is fucking disgusting. And I'm not saying it because it's religion. It's an organization, just like any organization. Sure. And it's filled with people. And worse, it's filled with men. You know what I mean? So don't let like their like celibacy or whatever, supposed celibacy, fool you. They're still men, and they still have desires and wants. And I'm not talking about sexual. I'm talking about like power. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
And they want to move through the fucking organization.
They want the bigger hat.
And there's politics, right? So it's like if like the Catholic hierarchy is so cynical and they're supposed to be so fucking pious, like, what are we supposed to be like? You know what I mean? Like, if they're cynical actors.
Well, That's great. That they're trained and like they're studied in all these behaviors, so they should be good at it. Maybe we're not going to be as good because we aren't.
Right.
It's like when people say, you know what? When someone gets pulled over by the cops and they got a gun in their face, they should just chill the fuck out and relax.
Right.
Meanwhile, you see the cop paranoid, shaking.
Right.
Like here's a trained fucking professional not acting cool.
Right.
And you want me to be cool?
Right. Right. Well, he thinks you might have a gun.
Yeah. Well, I know he has a gun.
Right. Exactly.
Moving on. So all the Canaanite Israelites get together and they storm Canaan.
They storm.
And they get their asses handed to them.
Yeah, they get fucked up.
They get chased all the way back to the wilderness.
Yeah.
And good for them.
Grand opening, grand closing.
What's that from?
Chris Rock.
Oh. You actually sound like Chris Rock.
Do I?
I
fucking love Chris Rock.
The only thing you need now is a nice smack across the face.
Fucking, oh my God, that guy's such a piece of shit.
Okay,
Will Smith, by the way, so he appeared on like social media like for the first time, like whatever. Yeah. No, after the apology, his first like post, you know, not an apology post, but like he's bald now. He shaved his head, and that was like how he appeared in his first like video. That's fucking hilarious.
Could you imagine?
He shaved himself for like Jada.
You know what would be awesome? If Jada walked through that door right now and smacked you, it's like, keep my husband's name out of your fucking mouth.
That would be fucking awesome. That would be awesome. I would let her do it.
Oh,
if Jada Pinkett Smith walked in, I would let her smack
and you'd be in the corner, and we'd be continuing the podcast with Jada.
That would be fucking hilarious. Oh, she's disgusting. She's gross.
Okay.
All right. So that gets us to Numbers 15, various offerings.
I hated this fucking part.
Why?
One,
go ahead.
He basically starts talking about, okay, when you get into the land that I've given to you, that when you get there, these are the rules. Motherfucker, you just said none of us are going to make it there. Who the fuck are you talking to?
And this is like another part where he goes through like all the shit that he wants that's pleasant smelling, right? Like,
dude, I wrote down offerings and pleasing odors to the Lord times 100.
Yeah.
Because he just says it repeatedly. And he mentions same for the aliens in your midst.
It's so weird. He's just, this is an offering to him for going against him, right? But really, he's going to fuck them anyway. So like, what's the point?
No, this is when they finally get there. And we already know now they're not going to be there for 40 years.
Right.
So,
he's saying when we get there,
when
this
you
is
get
what
there.
I want.
This isn't now. So by the way, this is what he says. All right, so listen, everybody listening?
Yeah.
All right. Any years over 20, you're dead. You're not making it. There's going to be dead body. He gets into this graphic horror post-apocalyptic scene he's describing. And he goes, okay, now that we got that out of the way, those of you who do make it, this is what you need to do.
Right.
Like, I'm walking out of the fucking meeting, man. Like, what the fuck do I need to be there for?
Well, I mean, he's doing some early Christmas shopping, basically. He's like making a list like early.
Do you think the Israelites were like, maybe he just ranted before? Like, he's not going to make good on that promise? And then somebody was like, yeah, like the promise to get us to Canaan?
I mean, I definitely think there's rational, like, people amongst them, yes.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely...
You know what? I hate to say this.
Like a George Carlin type comedian, like, you know, in the village.
I'm thinking a rational person would have been like one of them spies, just not returning. Just setting up shop.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Just like being like, yo, these like...
You could be easily accepted as one.
These Aconites, man. I like their style.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
Check this out. They can reach the shit on the top shelf. Right? Because you're all short because you're biblical. Right. You're like 5'1".
Right.
Which is, you know, short for us, but not for them. Just found out Napoleon wasn't short for his time.
No.
It's 5'5".
I think he saw them 5'5". I think
I read 5'5".
The French unit of measure was different from like the British unit of measure, and like they would just, you know, they dehumanize like people, you know, in war, like enemies. So like, yeah, he wasn't short. He was like 5'6", 5'7", I think.
I read 5'5".
Well,
I read it on one of them Facebook. Click here, 12 astounding facts.
Oh, well, then it's absolutely right. I think actually Abraham Lincoln started that fucking site.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
When did you do that?
I saw that like in a Facebook thing.
Oh, I heard he did like 4 scores and 20 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that.
I mean, he did that too. Like,
Yeah.
That's why you know him. He did a lot of shit.
Yeah, he's like the Benjamin Franklin of his day.
He invented the trade winds.
Yeah, the trade winds that blew the slaves over and the rum back.
Yeah, and the currents, the trade currents, the trade winds.
That's what we call them, trade winds, huh?
Yeah.
We call them slave winds.
He invented Kokomo and Aruba.
I thought the Beach Boys did that.
All right.
Yeah.
So, God basically, again, like a fucking autistic child, has to rattle off everything repeatedly. Now, that gets us to penalty for violating the Sabbath.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, first, you have more to say.
First he's like, when you get here, every bread you cook, I get the first dough. Mm-hmm. Like he gets to lick the bowl or whatever, like or the fucking mixer
Right.
fucking spoon.
Yeah.
Like, all right, it's fucking weird.
I think, you know what that's like? That's like when Van Halen, in their rider, when you play a concert, you have like a list of like what you want in the backstage area. What?
I just like another revelation came to me.
What?
I don't want to cut you off though.
Well, I mean, you're cutting me off by like with your fucking
Slapping my own
animated
head.
like fucking.
He's telling these people, you're not going to make it there for 40 years. Most of you aren't going to make it. Why would he do that to himself unless he doesn't want them to get there? He knows it's going to take 40 years for them to supply him with everything he needs. Do we see God after they get to Israel? Canaan?
I don't know.
Oh, we don't know. Oh, no. Oh, that you don't know.
That I don't know.
Right, we see some guy pretending to be his son.
Well, actually, yes. Now that I'm thinking about it, we do see God like
Right.
later on.
So I'm thinking this works against his own best interests, stranding them for 40 years in the
no,
wilderness.
God will be showing up.
Okay, so then it's in his best interest to do this. And he's just using his, see what you made me do to you? You think I like being like this? Smack. Like, it's full of shit.
I mean,
They're being conned, man.
Is it creeping up on you that like Yahweh's a scumbag?
No, but he's got multiple layers of scumbagginess.
I just think that
Like when they raid his home and they check his safe, there's going to be some documents in there he should not have.
I just think that what you're looking at is his inability to control his rage. So like he just flies off the handle and like does shit, and now he can't like walk it back. He can't be like,
so you think he really is like cutting his nose off to spite his face?
I don't think he thinks of it like that. I just think
He's got to report back to the emperor.
He's impulsive.
Okay.
Like everything is done at bro. He one day woke up and he was like, I don't like this shit. I'm gonna flood the planet. And then he floods the planet. Right? And then like after like a few months, he's like, you know what? Like humans, like there's nothing I could really do. Even now that I'm starting over, like he couldn't have this revelation. He could have had it like 3 months earlier and saved like everything. No, he had to like wipe everything out to have this revelation. Like, and then he decides, I love humans. I'm never going to. He's like always jumping back and forth. So his emotions are constantly controlling him. So when he hears the Israelites complain about the manna, then they're complaining about fucking, we don't want to go and fight a war. We don't want to die, He becomes enraged.
So do you think he's the type of guy that's like running the show and he tells everybody, I'm going to be surrounding myself with the best people. And as soon as like they say anything that's not cool, he kills them.
No, because I think he's smarter than someone that would say, I surround myself with the best people, right? There's definitely a cunning, because he's definitely thinking like numerous steps ahead. Here's the type of person he is. Like these lists that he gives them, it's like when I was saying the Van Halen rider. So a rider is when a band is playing at a concert, like they'll have like a list of things that they want backstage. Like we want 5 cases of Heineken and... Yeah. So Van Halen would have a bowl of M&Ms famously in their rider without like green M&Ms or something.
Right.
It was like brown,
yeah,
right? Something like that, brown, right? And it wasn't because they really gave a fuck. It was because they wanted to make sure the other people are reading the fucking contract. Like, are you looking at our fucking rider and honoring like our fucking wishes? That's what God is doing here with like all this shit. Like he doesn't need all that shit. but it's a form of control because he can, and to see, like, are they fucking obeying him?
They're being super duped, man.
And he's basically setting them up for more failure. The more things that he requires of them, the more chance someone's going to fuck up, he can punish them. That's what he gets off on.
And control, and because I don't think he wants them to go to Canaan yet. He needs them in the wilderness. I don't think, I like your point of view. I like your idea that he's just impulsive and doesn't think before he acts. But I think it's more than that, man.
Well, I think he knows that they're not ready to, like, conquer fucking those, like, places yet. Yo, Sarah Connor wasn't ready to fucking mother the child of, like, the post-apocalyptic fucking planet Earth, right? She had to get to the point where she was ready. And that included, that was, like, getting in a Jeep, getting a dog, and going to, like, Mexico, right? So that's like what God needs them to do. God needs them to wander through like the desert, get their like fucking militia training in. You know what I mean? Like all the tribes are gonna set up like
they have
fucking.
the ark in front of them. They got the fucking whirling tornado, the Tasmanian devil in front.
So
of them.
again, yes, that's the plot hole. The plot hole will always be Yahweh. Yahweh's always the plot hole. Like, why is any of this shit happening when Yahweh's on our side?
A famous person once said, "No fate except for what we make."
No fate except for what we make.
Sarah Connor.
Right. That's. She wrote it. She wrote that line.
Not only did she write it, she carved no fate into a picnic bench.
Right. But why accept? If we're making it, then it's not fate.
Yeah.
No fate except for what we make. So there's no fate. No fate should be it. That's it. No
it's
fate.
a rallying cry, man. It's not something to be picked apart
no
on the
fate.
podcast.
Well, anyway, this schmuck, right? He's out on the fucking Sabbath gathering sticks. You don't want to get to this guy?
One more
Come
thing.
on, this is great.
He talks about when you get there, you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because you always make mistakes. And every mistake is forgiven by offerings.
Uh-huh.
And it's always food and drink and whatever fucking fuels his spaceship. Like I think these rules are purposely made so you can't remember all of them.
Right.
And nobody's got like a notepad, like a reminder on their phone.
Why doesn't he want them to remember all of them?
Because he wants them to fuck up.
Why?
Because then they have to supply him with the offerings. Instead of just
he makes them pay penance. That's what I'm saying. Like he's purposely he's purposely fucking them so he can punish them.
Yeah, and but if you high-handedly commit a mistake, which I guess means on purpose, I didn't really know what. I thought underhanded was like shady. I thought high-handed was.
I don't know. High-handed might be like if you're too sassy about it, you know?
Like you throw it in my face.
If you come off all like, you know.
That's right. I shit in the well.
Yeah.
All right. We cut off from
what
the
you
people.
gonna do, fucking Yahweh? I'm coveting my neighbor's wife over here.
Yeah, you're getting cut off from the people is what he's gonna do. Yeah. All right. That's all right. Get to your point. Get to your one.
Get to my Sabbath guy?
This is
all right, so it's the Sabbath. You know.
Can't do shit on Sabbath.
Yeah, you can't do shit. You can only get on that elevator where that stops on every floor.
Just the stuff to keep you alive.
So if you live on the 13th floor, it's either the stairs or the elevator that stops on every floor, right? So you can't do shit. You can't work. Well, this fucking piece of shit, he's out there gathering fucking sticks on the day of the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Sticks.
Yeah.
Sticks. Yeah. And so Moses and Aaron. Oh no!
Just some randos.
He gets brought to Moses. Right.
Yeah.
This is like some like fucking Gestapo
It's a
shit.
snitch squad. Yeah. It's like you heard about a teacher that said gay in a classroom.
Yeah.
Let's get her suspended immediately.
Yes. It's
talking to you, Florida.
It's the worms from the wall.
Yeah.
And so they grab this fucking guy and they bring him to Moses and Aaron. And they're like, he was picking up sticks. But meanwhile, where the fuck were they? How come they fucking saw this guy picking up sticks? Yeah. Like they saw him.
Maybe these people were like an appointed patrol by Yahweh or Aaron or Moses, like to make sure
to rat on their own, man.
Yeah.
Those are the worst kinds of rats.
Worst kinds.
The worst kinds. We talked about those. The people, they were like the Jews in the Polish ghetto that the Nazis made police inside the ghetto. Yeah, so, like, they policed their own people, you know what I mean? And they were placed, like, at a higher status. But in the end, they all went into fucking ovens.
Yeah, were they forced to do that, though?
No.
Oh, really?
They volunteered. Yeah, you can volunteer to do that.
Yeah, so I don't know who these fucking guys were.
Or possibly they were groomed, like, over time, you know, like fucking the Nazi officers, like, realize, like, who's, like, more compliant and who can be groomed into, like,
and who could look the other way when the aliens are scooping up the shit and then that's
all that shit, man. And so, they fucking, you know, they go to Yahweh. They're like, yo, Yahweh. Because honestly, though, here's the thing. They've been given instructions now for over a year and a half almost at this point by Yahweh. Like, is this really a Yahweh problem now? Like, it seems like they know what they should do.
This is the ultimate stiff neck, this guy. Like, yeah, he should definitely have known this.
But also Moses and Aaron. He gets brought to Moses and Aaron, this old man or whatever. He's been gathering sticks. And Moses and Aaron should know what the punishments should be. Why do they have to go to Yahweh?
Because here's what I think.
Because that's what they do. They're going to bring this guy's case to Yahweh. I'm
gonna clarify this. Right? I'm gonna say, listen. I said from the beginning, Moses is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I don't fucking like him.
Yeah.
But I think he's at the point where even he's like, this is fucking ridiculous. That's why he appeals for the people a couple of times. Even though he killed 3,000 with the Levites, but I think even he's like, this is I can't keep convincing my people, like, because these rules are ridiculous.
I don't think so. Counterpoint, because last week I was arguing that, like, Yahweh's a micromanager, and I think this is another example of micromanaging. And I think Moses, it's not that he's sick of Yahweh. He's just such a Yahweh fucking lapdog and will do anything that Yahweh wants. They're almost like, you know what it's like? I think I figured it out, bro.
All right, done.
Bro, I figured it out.
End of
it's
podcast.
E.T. and Elliot. You know how they had that fucking mental fucking symbiotic fucking bond that they developed? And, like, when one was feeling pain, the other was feeling pain. When, like, one fucking saw, like, a kiss, he made, like, Elliot kiss that girl. You know what I'm saying? So now you can control the other fucking person. You know what I mean? Because that's the genetic material that Yahweh looks for. That's what he looks for with, like, fucking Abraham. That's what he looks for with, like, fucking, you know what I mean?
Basically, it's like psionically connected to
so
him.
Fucking right. So Moses is just, like, fucking following, like, instructions. Because that's all he can do.
So also maybe Moses knows what the penalty is, but he does want to go to Yahweh and go, hey, boss, what do you want me to do, boss? Hey, boss. Hey, boss.
Maybe Yahweh wants to show off. Maybe Yahweh wants to be like, you know.
I didn't want to kill him because maybe you didn't want to kill him for some reason, so I'm just going to chill.
So what's the penalty for collecting sticks on Sabbath?
Being buried up to your neck and the entire congregation stoning you.
Yeah. Stoning by the whole, like, congregation. That's crazy.
Could you imagine, like God, like Yahweh keeps you alive until the 700th stone hits you? Like, you feel every fucking stone. There's 700,000 people.
And what's great is all those people are already all pissed off, right? Because we just read, like, the chapter before. They were all pissed. So now this is perfect. Yo, that guy got set up, bro. You know why those two guys saw the old man fucking? Because he was set up in order to fucking have, like, the people, like, exert all their anger out on, like, that one person.
Yes.
And then after that, like, they probably all went back to, like, you know, wandering the wilderness happily.
It's a wag the dog move. It's like, let's unite these people to not look at this because this is the problem here.
Let's let them get their anger out on, like, this.
Yeah, this is the fucking problem.
This could be like a representation.
And then I'm sure he's going to be like, there's more amongst you that are like this.
And it's
now you're looking at each other.
There's probably going to be, like, periodic purges that take place.
I think so, yeah. Shoot, nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that's what's going on.
Nice. 35 episodes in, you finally come up with an idea.
I mean, something, yeah. It was time.
So here's the questions I have. They just say they find a man in the woods. What if he wasn't even part of the Israelite congregation? He was like a Canaanite.
Just brought some guy,
and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck is a Sabbath? What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, it's fucked up.
What if he was, what was he doing?
Gathering sticks.
Maybe he was picking up sticks.
Picking up sticks?
He was playing pickup sticks. He was playing a game.
You can't play. It's the Sabbath. You're not allowed to play a game.
Oh,
You got to be solemn.
that's not work.
So you got to be solemn.
What if he was like picking up each stick and going, fucking stick. This fucking stick. Like he was solid. Like he wasn't doing work. He was mad at the sticks.
Is he supposed to be outside? I'm not clear on the outside
I don't
thing.
fucking know. Like I said, I think you got to be inside because you can't see the alien entourage doing their thing.
I think you could have been a great writer for Monty Python. Like that's a Monty Python shtick. Like that stick bit that you were just doing. Like
that stick?
If you get like Eric Idle to like start bending over and picking up like sticks and being like fucking stick and then like breaking it and
What the fuck
like
is Eric Idle?
He was like one of the Monty Python people.
Oh. Wow, you go deep. That's size, Noodle. Stay stick.
Stick.
Yeah. So that's the end of my stick. Oh wait, there's one more little brief paragraph.
Yeah. Do your thing, bro.
1537. Fringes on garments.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make your fringes on your corners of your garments with a blue cord on each fringe on each corner of your garment, so you shall remember.
So I'm thinking
you're gonna read it, aren't you?
No, I'm not. But I'm thinking these are titzilas. Do you know what those are?
They're what?
Titzilas, they're called. If you've ever been in the Orthodox community, you'll see like they wear these things and they look like ropes that like hang down from like underneath their shirts.
Yeah.
That's what that is describing, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Like bathing suit strings?
That's what I did, yes. But the fringes on the garments sound to me like that.
All right. So, and he says, so you will remember your duties and everything. Wrong. This is bullshit. You know Yahweh can't remember shit. This is so Yahweh recognizes his people, not the people recognize like they have to serve Yahweh.
Right.
He's like, yo, why? Oh, okay, you're not wearing the code. You don't have the mark.
Right.
Or something. Yeah.
Right.
And then he repeats that I'm the Lord your God about 100 more times.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the end of Numbers 15.
That is the end of Numbers 15.
Well, how do you feel? You feel like
it's juicy content.
It's like starting to pick up a little bit. Yeah. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, now like we know kind of like they're going to wander the desert, right? Like we know that's going to happen.
Yeah. So now I'm thinking, one, they're being used. They need 40 more years in the wilderness because of Yahweh. I don't think it was because he threw a temper tantrum. And I think more than ever, I'm a little pissed off at this group of people. Like, they're an invading fucking army that's looking to what right do they have to this land they're moving into? Because Yahweh said so?
I mean, in fairness, what it appears to be is an accurate representation of the establishment of a nation. And what I mean by that is there's a small elite group of people who are going against the will of the majority and pushing towards an imperialist policy stance and state, whereas most of the people do not want that, but yet most of the people will be dragged by the elite class, i.e. Aaron, Moses, Caleb, Joshua.
And the Supreme Court.
And the Levites, right? Remember the Levites? They've got their own fucking clan.
Yeah.
So they are going to force the rest of the population. So you can't really blame the stiffnecks. It's the elites that are fucking spearheading this whole thing. And by the way, when the stiffnecks complain, today in Russia, you fucking commit suicide by jumping out of a window when you fucking go against Putin, you know? Yeah, well, I mean, look, if you went against Putin and then realized the error of your ways, you too would not want to live any longer.
Tony Rocky
jump
Horror?
out a window. Yeah.
Was he pushed? I don't know.
They say a lot. They talk a lot.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Scott.
But I hope it continues to be juicy. This was some good stuff, man. I like that they got sent back into the wilderness with their ass in their hand. That was cool. You look confused. What's going on?
I don't know. I don't like the way you're characterizing the Israelites. I got to defend the Israelites. You like this. You like the way they got their asses handed to them. I don't think you understand. See, here's the thing, Scott.
I was about to correct myself.
You're not looking at it through a populist lens.
As soon as I said it, I thought about what you said previously.
Yeah.
And because the elites are running shit, they control the media. They control the fucking information flow.
They control the narrative.
Yeah. Like, I love when people say, just get out and vote. Fucking make change. Read about the issues. Some people are working 3 fucking jobs in America to get by. I ain't got time to find out really, like, who's really into what and who's, like, how to do anything. I'm barely getting by. And yes, so let me retract my statement. No, I'm still glad they got their ass kicked.
And by the way, I'm starting to wonder now whether or not the Israelites were actually slaves in Egypt, or is that how it's being told in the story? Because it seems like they had things, and it seems like they were forced to, like, overnight just, like, grab as much as they could and, like, flee with it. And it seems like they had, like, fairly comfortable lives.
Do you think Yahweh was handing out victim cards and convincing them that they were victims? That's a topic for another day, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what, and I don't know when Yahweh shows up. I don't know if Yahweh is like the Genesis 1 guy, or like,
we don't.
Was there like a split somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we'll talk about that in future episodes.
All right, man. Peace.
All right.